Not too long ago, I had a conversation with my uncle about Social Security. He told me that if he claimed Social Security again, he'd do it differently. So, this got me thinking about this whole Social Security thing. Actually, it's kind of a funny story. Well, not exactly funny, but okay. So, my uncle, he made this massive mistake with his Social Security. And as I said, we ended up having this really long conversation about it. And honestly, it totally changed how I think about the whole thing. Since I started talking to people about retirement, and man, I've talked to a lot of people, I keep seeing the same pattern over and over. There's this huge difference between people who feel confident about their retirement and those who are just filled with regret. And you know what? It almost always comes down to when they decide to start taking their Social Security benefits. So if you've been thinking about claiming at 62, or maybe you already did, I really want to share with you what I've learned. Because honestly, some of the conventional advice out there is just, well, very misleading. And by the way, I'm Jason, and I actually retired early when I was 39. And because of that, I got to see all the different paths that people take with money in retirement. And some work out great, and others not so much. What I want to share with you today are the mistakes that I've watched people make, and the smarter moves that I wish everyone knew about. And by the time we're done with this video, you'll know how to avoid getting locked into that permanent 30% cut that many people don't even realize that they're signing up for. Oh, and there's this tax thing that sneaks up on people. Plus, I'll talk about how to protect your spouse's future checks if something happens to you. And this thing called the Roth conversion window, which some of you probably heard about, but sadly a lot of people haven't. But it's actually pretty huge. And get this, you can even undo an early claim if you realize that you messed up. I know, right? My uncle actually did that. But let me start with what I keep seeing happen. People hit 62 and say, look, I've been paying into the system my whole life. I'm taking what's mine before the whole thing runs out. And honestly, I used to think the exact same way. Better safe than sorry, right? But here's the thing. When you claim early, you're locking yourself into a permanent 30% cut. And it's not just that one cut either. Every single cost of living adjustment they give you after that, it's based on that smaller number. So it just keeps compounding. Claiming early is basically betting that you won't live long enough to regret it. Actually, I'm curious. Do you think Social Security will even be around in 15 years? Would you take it early because you're worried about that? I hear that from people all the time. Let me know in the comments. Alright, let me break down what that early decision actually cost you. Let's say you're supposed to get $2,500 a month at full retirement age. Start at 62 and you're looking at $1,750 a month. That's a 30% haircut right there. Over 20 years, hopefully you live at least that long, that works out to about $180,000. Just gone. And that doesn't even count the reduced cost of living adjustments on top of it. It's basically less guaranteed income forever. And here's the kicker. There's no way to fix it later. Well, except for that one thing that my uncle did, but I'll get to that later. Oh yeah, real quick. If you're finding this helpful, hit subscribe. I break this retirement stuff into steps actual humans can use. No financial advisor jargon that makes your eyes glaze over. Alright, here's the sneaky part that most people miss. The tax trap. See, when you start collecting Social Security, that income stacks on top of everything else that you pull out. Your IRA withdrawals, your 401k money, it all adds up. And I've watched friends get shoved into way higher tax brackets than they expected. I'm talking marginal rates well over 30%, all because they didn't realize how much the order of withdrawals matters. If I were in that situation today, I'd spend down taxable accounts first, delay Social Security, and keep my income low while converting some of that pre-tax money into a Roth. That window before retiring and starting Social Security, that's pure gold for tax planning. I want to tell you how my uncle used this little known rule to fix his mistake. But first, let's talk about the marriage thing, because this gets even more important if you're married. So picture this. You're the higher earner and you claim early. That 30% cut doesn't just shrink your lifetime checks. If something happens to you, your spouse's survivor benefit is permanently reduced too. And for a lot of couples, protecting that survivor benefit is the biggest reason that delaying makes sense. And then there's this. what I call the Roth conversion window. And yeah, nobody talks about this at parties, but that gap between when you stop working and when you start Social Security or RMDs, like I mentioned earlier, that space is golden. Your income's naturally lower during that time, so you can roll money from a traditional IRA into a Roth at a lower tax rate. Once it's in the Roth, it grows tax-free. By the time RMDs hit at 73, you've already shifted a ton of your future tax pain out of the way. I mean, that one move alone could save you tens of thousands of dollars easy. But, okay, what if you already claimed early and you're sitting there thinking, oh great, I screwed up. Well, that's where my uncle's story gets interesting. He claimed at 62, and then maybe, 6 months later, the math suddenly hit him. Like, really hit him. He realized that he made a huge mistake. And here's the part that most people don't know. You actually get a one-time 12-month window to back out completely. You can pay back everything that you received, even the cost of living adjustments, and basically hit the reset button on your claim. Now, there's a lot of paperwork involved, sure, and it takes serious discipline to save up what you need to repay it all. But my uncle actually did it. And the payoff? Well, much higher lifetime benefits. That one experience totally changed how my whole family thinks about this decision. So here's what I think the real secret is. You've got to see what you're actually betting on before you claim early. Taking it at 62 is basically saying, I bet I'll die sooner than the break-even age. Or, I bet I can outperform the government's guaranteed return with my own investments. And look, the return that you get by delaying Social Security, it averages about 8% per year between full retirement age and 70. That's risk-free, compounded, guaranteed for life. Try finding an 8% guaranteed return in the stock market these days. Good luck with that, right? That's why I always tell people, calculate your break-even age first and really ask yourself if you'll live past it. That number, that's literally what you're betting on. So before you claim, here are the questions that you absolutely need to answer. What does your health look like? What's your family's longevity history? How much guaranteed income do you need to feel secure? What's your spouse's age and benefit situation? What's your tax bracket now, and what will it look like later? And are you planning any Roth conversions? Do you actually know your break-even age? Do you need the income right now, or could you realistically wait? How do RMDs fit into your plan? Will you regret locking in a permanent cut 10 years from now? And honestly, have you run all these numbers with someone who actually knows this stuff? If you can answer these questions honestly, or even better, sit down with a professional, you'll feel way more confident about whatever you decide. Because here's the thing, Social Security timing isn't just some small detail. It can literally make or break your retirement. Rush into it and you could end up stuck with less income, higher taxes, and a whole lot of regret. Play it smart and you end up with stronger guaranteed income for life. Minimize taxes through Roth conversions, your spouse is protected, and you even have that do-over option if you catch a mistake fast enough. So if you're wondering what to do, just slow down, think long-term, and ask yourself those hard questions that I mentioned. And resist that urge to grab the check at 62 just because it feels safe. See, odds are pretty good that the smarter play is patience. And hey, if this helped you think about Social Security differently, hit subscribe. I only share straight talk, no fluff strategies that actually make a difference. Because the retirement that you worked your whole life for, it's way too important to leave up to guesswork. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.